remind us your name?
My name is Rebecca Gomez. I say today, thank you so much for all support for the mission. God is doing many great things in Peru. Today we have some pictures to share with you. Now my husband is explaining more. Thank you.
Working on her English like I'm still working on my Spanish. But again, I'm Jamie, this is Rebecca. Our mission is called Gyri Missions, and we've been working a little over 4 years now in Peru, specifically in Monte Azul on the Napo River. Just to share a little bit real quick before we get into all the slides. Like Becky said, we just want to thank everyone for your support. I mean, your prayer support, your emotional support, your financial support, all of it. It's not always easy what's being done down there, but we couldn't do it without you, so thank you so much. Real quick, tell you that in just the past few months since we spoke last, God is still doing some amazing things down there. We have our biggest Christmas event yet. We handed out 2,000 individual Bizcocho sweetbreads, over 1,000 toys. We went to 10 different communities, 9 beyond Diamante Azul, spanning about 10 hours worth of travel up and down the Napo River, the Huarima River, the Tambor River, and the Lancho Pozo rivers. So, yeah, it was a pretty extensive trip. God did some amazing things. We're going to share some of that with you right now. So, if you can see in this first picture, if you see that red type metal awning to the left, just to the right of that is our church. That's the church that Pastor Mike started building, I think, 9 years ago. I think when he left, it just had a roof, cement floor, and some poles. And to date, we have completely maximized all the space there. We have built on, I think, 5, 6 different times now. We're currently working on some other projects that are still building. The land to the left, I'm happy to announce, after about 3.5 or 4 hard months, we have finally acquired. Like I said, we've completely outgrown the building and space that we had. So now we've got an actual larger space directly next door. So we're pretty excited about that. Thankful to you guys for helping to supply that. You want to shoot on to the next picture there? We'll go on. Okay, this was our last Sunday there. Just to give you a frame of reference, like I said, 4 years ago, this past January, the first time I went, the church was averaging about 14 people at any given service. Our last Sunday there, and there was no special events going on that day, no children's VBS or Christmas event, we had 40 children, 10 and under, for Sunday school. We're so thankful for that, and praise the Lord for that. We had 50 to 60 adults, like I said, so we ran out of seating, so we took the kids next door to this land that we just recently acquired, and that's where we have Sunday school while they're having service next door. And so we're up to about 100 people, give or take, depending on attendances in the village and stuff. So that's Becky over there. You can see her teaching Sunday school. I try to help, but since she has the language, I didn't take a lot of pictures. So you want to go on to the next one? Again, this is Becky with the kids. You can kind of see the church in the background there. We're aimed that way. Still some work to be done there. The church is still taking initiative and working in our absence to try to fill that in and develop that area as well. My understanding, they just had an event and cleared the land this past week. So, next picture, please. This is inside the church. This is coming to the end of our Christmas event. It was the last day of EBS. We had somewhere around 150 children. This is on the left side, the girls. These are the toys that we gave out after the event. On the right side is the line of boys. We had somewhere between 150, 200 kids, somewhere in there, and probably a good another 150 adults. So 400 or so people. It would have been more, but school's been out for 2 years there. So a lot of people were out in the community in the bigger cities looking for work and getting money before school starts. I think it just started this past week. So next slide, please. This is the sweetbread, the bizcocho, and the hot chocolate. Yeah, anyway, those are you look at the pans down there. Like I said, we handed out 2,000 of those along the Napa. I think we handed out, 500 or so there at that event. And chocolate. People lined up after they went out for their toys. They went out front, came back in and filled her back in, and they'd come through with a mug, a pitcher, anything they could carry, and it would be a hot chocolate to take back to their families, to their houses. And they'd gather around the church and eat their bread, and we just fellowship and socialized. It was a really great time. There's Brother Marcos in the UFC shirt there. He's the associate pastor there, and one of our very, very dear friends. Matter of fact, Kevin Michaels, I think, did the wedding for him and his wife. So, yeah. Next slide, please. More of the hot chocolate and some more helpers. We had a very big team this year. It was awesome that we had some extra resources. We could take more people to hit more villages to just accomplish more in a short period of time. Next, please. There's a little kid. He was smiling at one point, but in that picture he's not. So, he's not really scared. We were actually having a good time. It's just, I think our minds surprised him in that photo. I didn't know you put that in there. All right, next picture. These are, after we got back to Iquitos, we try to, wherever we're at, we consider that our mission field, whether it's Ohio, Iquitos, Diamante, Santa. But in Iquitos, there's a need. We know several families and widows just in our area around where we stay. And those baskets there, we were able to provide widows, orphans, and some indigent families over 800 pounds of food, hygiene, and cleaning supplies. So that's just a picture of some of that we were wrapping up. That was several days' work to collect all that, to separate it. There's some of the widows there picking up their baskets, and they were so heavy. They were, what were they, about 40 pounds each, I think, and so they needed help even carrying them to load them into the motor cars. So that was a pretty neat event. Next. This is the orphanage on the Ataya River off of Iquitos as well. We've gone there in the past and done some work, and we went there. We've got some good friends that are actually helping to facilitate and run the event now. There were 14 young men there, and we were able to help and bless them and do some things as well. Girasol, sunflower, I believe that's what it's translated to. And anyway, it's a really neat place to go. If you guys ever get to come down, I'd love to take you there too, show you around. So that actually puts us on, I think, 5 or 6 different rivers now that we're actually going, depending where we're at and what we're doing. So, I don't know, are there any more pictures? Is that it?
Yeah.
What else do we got? Anything? Oh, this is the field, right in front of the church. There's like a soccer field, a little overgrown as you can tell. Those are some of the kids after the church service. We're known to go out after the VBS and different things and throw candy out or something. Another thing kind of lures the kids into the church. They come for candy, but they leave with Jesus. And it's really neat. They enjoy that. We throw it out. The adults get in there. It's crazy. Right behind them, you can see some trees, and then it goes directly, drops off into the Napo River. So we're really close to the river there too. This is one of the new areas, one of the last places we had built on the concrete, and we sent some money and supplies, but they actually surprised us and enclosed that with a door, and if you can see through those doors, into the back there is where we built the brick oven, and they also enclosed that and put a thatched roof over it, which is a lot of work and a lot of expense that they took on their own, and we're very grateful for them. They're taking pride in all of that, and they're really working hard to improve what we got. Like I said, we're pretty much right up against the jungle. That's the very back of the building, and there's not much space before you get to very just dangerous, dense woods. You can see, can you go back one for just a second? Right there to the left is some brickwork. They're working on new showers. We're actually trying to get the walls poured and formed and all that stuff around those bricks now, so that'll be ready. We're hoping to get a team down there this year, and if so, we want to make it as comfortable as possible. So we're working on that, some brand new addition as well. Sorry. Again, this is another picture inside the kitchen area with the brick oven and all that. We're working on getting that fully cemented inside of there. For years, that's just been wide open. We try to cook back there, and you've got chickens and everything else hopping up, coming in there, just making a mess. But right now, it's actually really fully functional, and we were able to use a lot. So that's really These are some of the rooms we have going on to the back. Again, directly behind the sanctuary. Several storage, multi-purpose rooms. One right now pretty much just holds everything from additional supplies and materials we need for building to like our tents and different things we need when we're there. Obviously the chainsaw, weed eater, things like that for the church. This is the room where we actually put a couple of tents, and that's where we stay on the floor when we're in there. You definitely want to stay in a tent or with a mosquito net of some sort, because the bugs are horrible. I don't know why. But that's a really neat one of the rooms, and they do a real good job keeping it clean and taking care of things there. Next. This is the front of that shower area. There's a new bathroom there just to the left, and we're putting a second toilet facility there on the right. And then right behind that, we're working on 2 showers, and we're trying to make, on the other side, if there's space, we're going to see if we can put a 3rd and a 4th shower so that we can actually have a men and a women's restroom and women's showers, something that we haven't currently had. So for several years, we've just been bathing with buckets and whatever we can get. So again, lots of work in the process, lots of work to still be done. Just to share a little bit, make sure I didn't miss anything here. I'm pretty sure I probably did, but I'll be brief. Maybe a little light up here, please. Thank you. Sorry, my eyes aren't good. Okay, so really excited about this. As of about a year ago, they were working on trying to translate the Bible into Quechua, the native language there. And at that point, they'd only had a couple of books, and they were still working on some and hadn't got very far. To our surprise, when we arrived, they had already had the complete entire New and Old Testament translated into Quechua. Not just that, they've supplied every local there that wanted one with audio type, solar powered Bible, and some of that, some other gadgets on it and stuff. They even gave us one, so we're still working on our Quechua as well. But now we're able to take that with them and travel up and down in this native language and share the gospel. They also got some John MacArthur study Bibles translated to Spanish and gave those to a lot of the pastors in the area, which is really awesome. And another way to share the gospel there. We're really excited about all that, and that was a complete surprise to us. Oh yeah, I almost forgot one of the biggest things. Okay, so at some of our services when we were there, we had a local bruja started to come to our services. Bruja is a witch doctor, and we've had lots of opposition and problems with them in the past. Like I said, this is a very remote area, very steeped in their culture and voodoo-like practices. They caused us a lot of problems, but this one particular older gentleman came, and just as nice as he could be, and with the exception of smelling like alcohol once or twice, he was just polite and nice and kind, and kind of a pleasure to be around. So, we didn't have any problems with him being there. Excuse me. And our very last service, we had a second one join him, a younger one, probably in his mid-30s or so. And we know this gentleman, and although we haven't had direct problems with him, we've had some indirect issues and stuff, but he came for the first time ever. So they're both sitting there, and needless to say, people are a little concerned and nervous. What's going to happen? What's going on? What's this about? And I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes into the service after the worship, the younger one requested prayer for healing. So we did that, and anointed him with oil, and all began to pray for him, over him as a church. And just a few minutes into that, you just felt the Spirit drop. And it was amazing. And he was healed, and he received Jesus as a Savior before the service was over. So that's exciting for me. That's our 10th conversion in 6 months that we're aware of, and I'm pretty sure there's more. To my understanding, him and the other witch doctor are still going to every service as often as possible. So that's great. Like I said, the church is growing, it's exploding, lives are changed, Jesus is freeing people, and I mean, praise the Lord, we're grateful to be a part of it, and thank you for being a part of it. So I think that's it. If I missed anything, Greg, Mike.
No, you're good. Make us biggest thing is just the fact that the Bibles have showed up there in Quechua just shows that God is moving into this area. It's just growing. I've been with Jamie since the beginning, and it's just amazing how things are moving and growing. The people are drawn to the church. It's an incredible time down there.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you. That's exciting. Thanks, Rebecca. So I just want, I'm glad Jamie and Rebecca came. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal, and we've got a part in that. We've sent money with them. That's credited to your account. I don't want to stop it. You know, if God puts it on your heart, you know, there's things going on there, and I'm talking financially, then I have complete confidence in Jamie and Rebecca using those funds to further the gospel and to move. It touches my heart tremendously. 9 years ago, when I felt sensed God called me down and we started, I had no idea. I kind of half thought in 5 years it would be termite ridden, but when God moves, God moves. When I went down there, I didn't have much money. I just knew I was supposed to go, and before I went down, somebody gave me a check for $10,000. And we put it all into that church. A lot of it was transporting, stuff up there. It was a 3-day transport on a slow boat. But God moves, and what hurt me is, I gained some friends down there. Rebecca's mom and dad kept me alive, mainly her mom. That lady is a special lady, Judy. But anyhow, I made some friends down there. I said, I'll be back in a couple of years. It's 9 years later, and I ain't been back. Bill's been there. Kevin Michael's been there. I think that's it. So what I'm saying, Jamie's also extended his hand. He would love to receive groups down there, and I feel very comfortable with that. I don't like just going on mission trips to go because of the culture and the language and all that, but when there's people on the ground that I'm familiar with, I'm like, let's go. So I'm telling you right now, I'm going to put a bug in everybody's ear that we're going to start leaning that way to try to get down there. It might be next January, it might be this summer, maybe both. I'm kind of waiting on God to speak to me a little bit on that. I know Kevin Michael wants to go back. Kaylee wants to go back. Get your passport. If you even think you have an inkling that God might be pulling you in the mission field, get your passport. It lasts 10 years. You can go ahead and get it, okay? And if you don't use it, you don't use it. But I don't want to say, hey, we're going here in a couple months and it takes you 3 months to get a passport and you don't have it.
If you're over 18.
If you're over 18.
For 10 years.
Okay.
If you're under, it's only 5.
If you're under 18, it's only 5 years. Okay, I did not know
Just
that.
for any students that may.
Okay. So I would encourage anybody, pray on it. Don't let it be an emotional thing. See if God, but I'm telling you, it will change your life. It will change your life, and we will make sure, I shouldn't say that, you come back alive, but you will. They showed that picture. I'm sorry, Tom's been close. You haven't been all the way there, but you've been all around there. Kim, I don't think you haven't went. But Tom, he's been not exactly there, but he's been in the thick of it. You've been a couple times, haven't you, down? 3 times. So I've only been there. Hey, we're tied. So what do you say, Tom? Changes your life, doesn't it?
It does.
It does. So you would recommend it?
Definitely.
Kevin?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Jamie?
Oh, definitely.
Greg?
It completely changed my worldview going down.
My dad went down there was it the first time he ever been on a mission trip? Second, he went to Haiti. And then he went to Peru and he handed a woman off. Marcos got married down there, didn't know my dad. And my dad handed his wife off. They're just that kind of people. They love, they know they're getting their help and their support from us, and they're workers. And I know this group of people appreciates workers. So if you don't want to go, pray about helping financially. If you want to go, I've never met anybody that God put in their heart to go on a mission trip and somehow didn't find the money. God provides. Okay? Young people right here, you two, have you been anywhere? Karen? David? Think about it. Think about it hard. All right? Bill, he's been down there. I don't know if I said you. Bill actually been to Diamante. You were with Dad. I forgot about that. You, Kevin, and Dad.
Yep.
How'd you like that?
They sang at the wedding.
You sang at the wedding.
Entertainment.
You said they asked him to sing, when you sang.
Jesus loves me. That's the only song we all three knew.
I don't know if I'm glad there's not video of that. But I'll tell you, Bill, that trip, we're going to be honest, it's not for the week.
No.
But I would say you probably don't regret going, do you?
No.
No. So think about all that, okay? How old were you? You were in your 50s, late 50s, mid 50s?
Yeah.
What was it, like 6 years ago or something like that?
Yeah, probably. I don't.
It was right after.
Kim was there. I forgot. Kim was with you too.
Yeah, but she didn't go to the
Yeah.
She stayed.
She's a weak one.
I went with him, don't call me a weirdo.
That's true. You were with Bill. That's true. You two have been married for many years. You're not a weakling. Okay.
I don't know what the trip used to be, but we believe now that we can get all the way from Iquitos to Diamante in about 1 day. So that's substantially quicker than it used to be, even when we started. So that's another possible incentive.
Yeah, it took me every bit of 2 days when I went. So
We heard that too, didn't we, Bill?
We got heard one day, but it didn't happen, did it?
Well, I'm an American.
hey, fair people, stop. But I would encourage you tremendously. You know, some of us say, well, I'll just send money. That's fine. But there's also nothing wrong with going down and getting some boots on the ground and actually surveying the situation and seeing what's going on. All right? Okay. Kevin, you still want to have class, or do you want to? Okay, you youth, you can go with Kevin, and he'll teach you something. It'll be good. Let's pray. Father, I thank you for the work. Why am I thanking you? It's your work, that we can be a part of that and see what you're doing in Diamante. Lord, I pray you keep moving in that area. Use Jamie and Rebecca and all the others that are investing time into your children down there, Lord. Let it spread into every community and along that river and in that area. Let it go even up into Colombia and Ecuador and all that area, Father. Let your word be spread. Let Jesus Christ be praised. Lord, I ask that you speak to people in this congregation. Bring them on board. Lord, I thank you. I thank you. Let today be significant. Let the preaching be true. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, we ready? Today we're going to be in the book of Psalms. I'm going to try to do 1 and 2. I'm going to tell you right now, there's not that many verses in 1 and 2. We can turn lights. You can turn lights back on, John. They don't have to be off. You're confusing me. There you go. Now, we'll bring Dustin back. If you can't do your job properly, we'll bring That's back. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. What's that tell me right here? Who am I getting my counsel from? Who am I letting speak into my life? Godly people. If you're not letting the godly people speak into your life, if you're not going to them for counsel, then you're barking up the wrong tree. You know, I see Christians all the time that are believers, but their circle of influence and the people they hang out with are not. And it's almost like getting torn in two. You know, you've got a completely different mindset than the people you hang around. And unless you're not normal, generally the people you hang around with are the people you turn into.
Amen.
I find that out. I have to be so careful because I really love heavy, thumping, screaming music. The louder and more metallic, the better. And I find when I submerge myself in that, not that it's necessarily sinful, I don't believe that, but when I spend all my time submersed in that, it does not have a good influence on my life. Sometimes I just have to take a self-assessment, and I always wear headphones because I spend my days by myself, and it drowns out the noise of stuff. Myself. Maybe I'm autistic. We were during worship, Lawrence was like this. I told Adam, I think he's on a spectrum somewhere. He said, that makes sense. But sometimes I just have to take a self-assessment and say, no, I've got to turn on the Christian station. Because what I'm listening to, even though it may not be bad, the road is taking me down that road of anger, the road of lust, the road of sex, drums, and rock and roll. Ain't necessarily where I need to be. And that's how it is in our walks with people. You know, there's people that's in your life that ain't necessarily sinful to be in, but man, you submerge yourself in them too much and not get in with godly people, it has a terrible effect on your outlook of life. And I'll tell you, we'll be honest, it's a lot harder for us to rub off on them than them to rub off on us. You know, somebody asked me this week, about, you think that the evil has pretty much run its course in the nation and everything that's going on, the lies and the scandal and that. And I thought about it a little bit, and evil don't get tired. Evil does not get wore out. The world is just brutal, relentless, and it keeps coming at you. Anybody that's walked the face of this earth for any amount of time understands it. It's relentless. It's relentless. You get up in the morning and you better put your boots on for work. Now, I'm talking spiritual work, or the world will roll you. It will roll you. And I tried to preach that to my boys all the time they were growing up. I don't know if they got it. I think they thought I was just being mean, and maybe I was a little bit, but I was trying to get through to them. You better be tough, especially if you're stupid. So you better be tough. Because if you're not tough, and if you don't have your wits about you, and if you're not thinking, if you're not awake and alert, the enemy wants to kill you. And if he gets any chance, there's no mercy and no quarter. Some of us think we can play patty cake and with the enemy and go in and out, whatever, and it'll be all right. And you're playing with death. So it says, blessed is the man who walks in the counsel of the ungodly. That Blessed is the man who does not, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. So it means he who submerses himself in godly people. Nor stands in the path of sinners. What does it mean? You know, in my mind, you know, you're thinking standing in the path of sinners, I'm standing in somebody's path and I'm trying to stop them. That's not what that means. That means you're on that road with sinners. You're doing what they're doing, you're going where they're going, and you're hanging out where they're hanging out. Talking about that De Monte Azul, when we started building that church, guys like this, we bought a chainsaw with a 3-foot bar on it. It was big. You like that, Steve? It was still, and you crank that thing up, and it was loud and proud. And they told us when we get that chainsaw, because they were going to use it to build the church, because we weren't hauling all the lumber out there, get 2 blades or 2 chains. I'm like, okay, I understand. You know, 1 chain goes bad, and we got there, and they took 1 chain right out of the package and started working on it, and I'm like, what are you doing? It's still out of the package. It's not done yet. And they said, well, that's our rough chain. This is our finished chain. But we got that chainsaw there, and they were cutting down wood to build this church, and it was all chainsaw work. And you know, you look in there and you see a picture, and there's trees everywhere, but a lot of those trees that are close to the village, to the town of De Monte Azul, they're young trees, because any tree that was worth its salt had already been used for build. So when we got there to build this church, they had to go look for a good trees to cut down, and it was literally, I'm not joking, I could hear the chainsaw running during the day when we were doing other things. They were back there cutting it, and then when we went to get the wood and start humping it back, it was a 45-minute walk through the jungle. Now, when I got there, in their one building, they had a jaguar pelt hanging up. That was one of the first things I saw. And I'm like, yeah, this is not a safe place. And they cut a tree and they said, okay, we're ready to start hauling it back. So we went out there to get it, and you know, I pride myself for being a gringo, not being in too bad a shape. But these men, women, and children down there, they put me to shame. So we start walking, and before you know it, I'm falling behind. And I said, I can't keep up. And they yelled back, just stay on the path. You've been there, haven't you, Tom? Just stay on the path. And I just kept telling myself, okay, I trust these men. They've been down this way before. If I just stay on this path and don't veer off of it, I'll be all right. Because it also scared me. Another thing I didn't tell you, a lot of times we'd be sleeping at night and I'd hear a shotgun blast. Another thing they asked us to bring them, we brought 3 or 4 packages of 16-gauge shotgun shells. And during the night, about every once in a while, you just hear a shotgun blast. And before this whole going to get the wood stuff, I asked them, what are those shotgun blasts? I know we brought you those. Are they going out hunting at night? Because I want to go with you. And they said no. And they showed me, and they had these shotguns they modified. They stick them on game trails with a tripwire. And when you hear that shotgun blast, it meant an animal tripped the wire. And the next morning, they'd go out and find the animal they shot. So that was another reason I did not want to get off that path. I was scared to death that if I got on the wrong path, I was going to set off a tripwire, and one of the bullets I bought was going to kill me. Did I tell you all that, huh? Let's go. For that very reason, I let my life insurance lapse. You ain't killing me. She's trying to get rid of him. Oh. But anyhow, that whole staying on the right path, we need to pay attention to that. I wouldn't dare, I was terrified to take off the wrong step, knowing my left knee might get blown off. But yet I'm walking through this spiritual world, and it just ain't that big a deal. If we worried as much about our spiritual well-being as we did our physical well-being, we'd be in a lot better place. So we can read this, don't walk or don't stand in the path of sinners, and we can kind of go, yeah. But it's beyond that. We think it's not a good place to be, but it's a place where you die. The path of sinners is where you go to die. And that's a scary place to be if you think about it. At the very least, you get scarred. There's some things, I'm sorry, even with Jesus Christ, there's things in your life that will forgive you and you can still get there, but you never recover from them this side of heaven. There are things I've done in my life and I've seen in my life, and I've talked to many of you, and we all know you might get freedom from it, but this side of heaven, you ain't never recovering. Let me rephrase that. You might recover, but you ain't getting freedom. Because the memory remains. And every day it's a battle getting up. I'm facing that. Nor sits in the seat of scornful. So it goes from counsel of the ungodly to the path of sinners to sit in the seat of the scornful. All these things you don't want to do. What's the scornful? When you think of somebody that's scornful, you just think of somebody that's mean, legalistic, unpleasant. So how can we translate this? Don't sit in the seat of somebody that's unpleasant. It's always looking down on others. I had an epiphany yesterday. We're doing this grief share, and they had this, we watch a video as a part of it every day, every Saturday, and I thought it was when they talked about the mirror analogy, where they were talking about forgiveness. And so many times we'll say, oh, I can forgive that person because I've done that, or I can see myself doing something like that. But yet, if somebody does something that you wouldn't do, or you don't see yourself doing it, you won't forgive them. And that's a scornful, judgmental thing, because you're judging them compared to yourself. And that just, how many times do we do that? And I just kind of, how easy it is to forgive somebody when you could see yourself doing that, or you have done it. But when it's something you haven't done, no, I ain't forgiving you for that. That's a scornful, nasty way to live. Because you're basing everything on you and not Jesus. 2. But his delight is in the law of the Lord. Yeah. The law of the Lord. Do we delight in that, or is it a burden? Some days it feels like a burden. Because we don't want to do right. I'm sorry. If you say you want... And that gets confusing too, because I want to do right and I don't want to do right. The man in me, the old man in me, the flesh in me, has no desire to do right. But this new creation that Jesus birthed into me, he wants to do right. And I want to delight in right, but I can't find it, and I can't figure out how to do it. But when I do it, I'm happy as can be. Do we think the law of the Lord is good? Does it make us joyful? Or does it make us sad? hope it makes you joyful and not sad. Because it wasn't meant to be a burden. And in his law he meditates day and night. And that goes back to where you're spending your time. Are you spending time with people that remind you that God's in this? That God's got it? That gives you scripture, that encourages you, that, hey, it says, we can do it. Kim Edwards got a ministry. I just say this, it's an encouragement ministry. She has the uncanny ability, and everybody be careful right now, she has the uncanny ability to know something's going on in your life, even if she don't know what it is. I've seen it just in the short while she's been here, no less than half a dozen times. God will put somebody in her life, or she'll talk to somebody, or she'll have a heart for somebody that's going on, and she'll say something to me, and I say, oh, you don't know, but you know. Go get him. Where I was going with that. Because she understands when somebody's going down. I'm back on track now. She understands that when somebody's going through a hard spot or whatever, God's put her in a place to remind them of where they need to be and what they need to be thinking about. And she's really good at it. Relentless even. She'll even wear you out sometimes. Yes, Bill. Just trying to give you a little encouragement there, Kim. Don't stop. God has given you a gift. I don't know if you call it discernment. I don't know if you call it knowledge. But he shows you things he doesn't show other people. And the reason he shows you is because you act upon it. He wants to show others, but they're caught up in themselves. He's got you a place in your life where you have the time, you have the energy, and you have the experience. And he will keep putting people in your life. And he will show you. And trust it. Even if you don't know all the deals, trust it. He shall be like a tree planted by the river of waters. Yeah. You ever notice those trees that are by water? Like the cottonwoods. What gets bigger around here than a cottonwood? And those trees are always right. They're annoying. I'm going to be sneezing here when they start spreading them. But think about that, because they got good water. And in any form of life, and I learned this in livestock a long time ago, VOAG 101. The number one limiting factor in livestock production is water. If you don't have good water, they ain't growing. And they ain't doing good. So number one, if you want growth, if you want something sturdy, if you want something strong, whether in the natural world, there better be water involved. What does Jesus call himself? The water of life, you know? What did he tell the woman at the well? If you knew what I offered you, you'd get it from me and you'd never thirst again. It says that tree that's planted by the rivers of water brings forth its fruit in its seasons. It does what God created it to do. It's not lacking. And that goes all the way back to verse 1. If you're in the counsel of the godly and not the counsel of the ungodly, if you're being fed, if you're in the scripture and all that, you'll bring forth fruit in its due season. And you won't be unfruitful and you won't be barren. And those around you will feed off you. That's the Christian experience. 101, how it's supposed to be. Whose leaf shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. You say, well, and I get into this, you say, well, Pastor Mike, I dive into the Lord, and I make sure I am meditating on Him in day and night, and I try my darndest to stay out of the path of sinners, and I do not counsel with the ungodly, but at the same time, I can't prosper to save my life. Let me ask you this. Maybe you're seeking the wrong kind of prosper. Because the world will convince you, and some pastors will try to convince you, if you're not financially in good shape and you don't have new car and this, that, and the other, that you're not prospering. Jesus didn't have a place to lay his head. John the Baptist was clothed in camel hair, and he ate honey and locusts. And the Lord said, among women, no one born greater than John the Baptist. It says the greatest men in history, the prophets and the patriarchs, they were refugees, and they laid in caves and dens, and they were on the outskirts of society, and they were God's most precious tools. So if you're struggling, wondering, why am I not prospering? Why? I think you need to change, possibly, the way you define prosper. You know, I've been trying a lot lately to think about God's perspective on so many things that we don't get, I think, the proper perspective of. And two of those things that I've been meditating on are death, and the other one is our finances. And I've been trying to think of and then praying and asking God about His view of death, especially for a Christian. And picture with me, church, if you can. And I'll try to explain it the best I can. How would it change things if we truly understand eternity and we understood what it was like to be in the presence of God? What if we stood in the place of God? And what if we saw suffering, and we saw a child or any believer suffering with a sickness that was going to lead to death? And the prayers of the loved ones and the parents and the family was, heal him, Lord, heal him, heal him, heal him, heal him, heal him, heal him. This isn't fair, this isn't right. Why are you letting them suffer? Why are you letting them, they're your child. What if we stand in the place of the Lord and we thought this way? You think they're dying. They're being transformed. I know what's on the other side of that, says the Lord. I know where this leads. So are you thinking big picture? Let me tell you, says the Lord, they are going to die. You are going to die. You will take your last breath. Are you going to be upset about it? Are you going to fight it? Or are you going to embrace what I have waiting for you? You want me to heal them? I'm healing them. I'm healing them. Did you not read, says the Lord, where it says, I will wipe away every tear? Did you not read where I said all the pain and suffering will go away? Did I not did you not read where I prepare a place for you where there will be no shifting of shadow and no evil or unjust thing will enter its gates? The Lord says, why do you cling to the lesser? Why do you cling to the lesser? Again, I say, I'm healing. I'm healing. Does it take away the pain? No. Because love means something, right? Love means something. But find comfort and understanding, dare it be. The Lord says we're all assigned to death. I take that as when I gave up myself. And that physical death isn't really death. Jesus even said he sleeps. You don't die, you're transformed. You died when you accepted Jesus. If you didn't accept Jesus, you did die twice. Yeah, sign me up, right? 4. The ungodly are not so. We better back up. I'm going to read that again because He shall be like a tree planted by the river of water that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he does shall prosper. 4. The ungodly are not so, but are like chaff which the wind drives away. Why does the wind drive the chaff away? Because it has no weight to it. No substance. It's just fluff. It means nothing. That's the ungodly. You say, well, this ain't true. I see the ungodly prosper. Again, I would say if you're having a hard time and you're saying the ungodly are prosper, you got to change your definition of prosper. Because if they've got the nice cars and the property and the big bank accounts and this, that, and the other, and they're ungodly, that's all they get. And it's gonna burn away, blow away, and burn up, and or both. Brothers and sisters, we are focusing on the bigger picture. We want substance. 5. You know, we think about that wind blowing the chaff away. I got this image in my mind of, and we all have had it, where we've had a stack of papers or something, the wind catches it. No direction, no weight, it's just gone. It's just gone. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment. And this can be very confusing if you don't read it correctly. Because if you're thinking like most people think, you read this and you say, the godly are the ones that don't stand in judgment. This says, no, the ungodly now shall not stand in the judgment. And you say, what on earth does that mean? I don't want to stand in the judgment. You can look at this 2 different ways, and I think you can be correct. When the judgment seat of Christ, the great white throne judgment, if you're ungodly, you ain't standing there. You were cut off. you're going away like that chaff. If you're godly, you can stand before the Lord and not get burned up. Another thing you can look at is the judgment. They've already been judged and they've been found lacking and they're gone. We're going to stand before the Lord, the Jesus Christ someday, and we're going to be judged on our words. And we're going to be rewarded accordingly. The ungodly are not going to be judged in that aspect. The ungodly, what this basically says, the ungodly have no part in the Lord. He's not even gonna see them. Because what does it say? Jesus stands at the gate, and if you're a believer, he says, welcome in, good and faithful servant. If you're not a believer, you don't even get in to get judged. You don't even get to plead your case. You're already condemned. People think they're going to stand before the Lord sometime, and hey, I'm pretty good at math, and I spent all my life doing the math, and my good outweighed the bad. And the Lord said, you ain't even getting in the gate to plead your case. No sinner in the congregation of the righteous. And this goes back again. What place do we have with sinners? It's one thing, you say, well, Jesus spent time with sinners. He did. But did you ever read of him taking counsel from sinners? Did Jesus ever bend to the world? No. I know people that God bless them, they had the heart for it, and they stuck to it. When they came to the Lord, they had to give up a bunch of friends they didn't want to give up. I'm one of those people because he just wasn't healthy. And if our relationships get renewed, it's going to be because they came around to my way of thinking, not because I came around to their way of thinking. Because I'm standing on that rock, I ain't going out. I hope you're the same way. I really do. I've got friends that call themselves believers, but outside of church or mass, you never see them with a believer. All their friends are heathens. You like that song? Some of us know, some of us don't. Okay. And I often wonder, okay, maybe you're strong enough, but you're dragging your kids along with you. And they're witness to all the people that they should be around. So, holy cow, 6. Jamie, you cut into my time. No, I'm teasing. Everybody here's like, thank goodness. For the Lord God knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. 7. How many we got in 1? That's the last one. I don't think I want to go into 2. Man, I got done with the whole chapter. For the Lord knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the godly shall perish. See, and that goes deeper than we even realize. We think the Lord's judging the ungodly and stuff, and it says he knows the way of the righteous. He's paying attention to them, but the ungodly, he's not even giving them that. We live in this time of grace, so they're not killed, but they're just doing their own thing apart from the Lord. I don't want any of us here to be apart from the Lord. I want everyone here to stand before the Lord someday and look Jesus in the face and say, I've known you forever, I just wasn't sure what you looked like. We got these conversations. Kevin, can I tell a story? Kevin likes to game. Okay, he's a 20-something guy. He likes to play games. Now, he doesn't do it on family time or church time or anything else. But in the evenings, some of us wind down watching sports or whatever. He plays video games. Well, you've got a guy you play with about every night, right? That lives in a different state, correct?
Yes.
And the dude asked him to be in his wedding. The best man in his wedding. And almost anybody right now over 40 is like, I can't even imagine. That is so weird. Yeah. But Kevin's gonna go to that wedding. He's gonna do it because he's weird like that. It might be a 25-year-old woman. You don't know. But anyhow, he's gonna go for it. And all of a sudden he's gonna go, oh, I know you, but now we've been talking for years, and we talk every night and stuff. But finally, hey, you're missing the point. But the point is, it's just going to be a fuller picture of what he had before. Thanks for the comedic relief. You give him, and that's how it's going to be when we get to heaven. I've been talking, you've been having conversations with you forever, and we're pretty close. And now, finally, I'm face to face with you. That's my goal for everyone here, okay? And that's the Lord's goal for you. All right? Now everybody knows Kevin ain't right. Not even close. And that's the guy that keeps track of our money.
Just how figured this out.
All right. Well, I hope today was good for everybody. I thank Jamie and Rebecca for coming, and I thank Greg for setting us up with them. And again, pray hard on that. You know, you can't take money with you, but you can't go anywhere without it. And money is very helpful. So if you feel led in that way, I ask you to contribute to what they're doing and what God's doing through them. All right? And we're going to try to get down there within a year. So get your passports, pray about it. We're going to make it happen, God willing, all right? Let's bow our heads. Father, I thank you for today. I thank you gave us, I know you gave us some wisdom in your word. I just hope I expressed it correctly. Lord, I pray in my heart is that everyone here already knows you. They just haven't seen you yet. And then we get to walk in those gates and we get to stand before you and have a party. Congratulating each other. We did it. You did it. I knew you could do it. You did it. So bless the goings in and our comings out, Father, and the work of our hands. Bless those that are serving you with strength and understanding. And give us a proper perspective of prosperity. A godly prosperity, Father. And let us rest in that. I thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, everybody's dismissed, but